is your guide to getting social and finding love in Montreal. Welcome back to Soul in the City. I'm being joined at the love table with Erica Diamond, who's again my co-host this week, and my old co-host, Dan Delmar of CJAD. Welcome back, Dan.
Nice to be here, Cheryl.
It's nice to be here too with you, where it's like old times again.
Absolutely. Thanks for inviting me.
And then we also are being joined by Soudeh Soura. She has an agency called Sstance, and she provides a platform for musicians to collaborate with one another from across the world and all over the place, right? Welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Perfect person to have on a long distance show.
Yes, indeed. I do a lot of that.
Yeah, I know, and we're going to get to that. And Stephanie Arthur, she's a sex and dating contributor for AskMen.com and a blogger behind life for BetweenTheSheets.com, and has been a long-distance relationship herself. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
Okay, so everybody here has been in a long-distance relationship, except Erica, right?
We know that.
Okay, Dan, you know what? You haven't been here for a while, so I'm really excited to have you back here. So I want to hear from you. So long distance, does it work or does it not?
It depends. I've been in a few, and I think I learned a really important lesson after my first one, and that was to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, and if you don't see light at the end of the tunnel, it's not going to work. So my mistake at the time was she graduated, she went back home to New York City, and then we just sort of left it open-ended, and it didn't end really well. I mean, we're good now, but it had a rough ending because we didn't have a plan. We didn't know if we would be in the same city together eventually, and it ended in a very sad way. So I would say it can absolutely work. I'm in one right now, and it is working, but it requires some thought.
So amen to that. That's what I keep saying, is that you need the plan. So Soudeh, what about you? You've been in a few long-distance relationships, right?
I have. I've done Paris, New York. I did a little bit of Miami, Toronto. So I'm all over the place with that. My take on long distance is very different. I see them as experiences. I just live in the moment. I enjoy the moment. I have zero expectation of what comes out of it, because oftentimes you end up being disappointed if you put too much pressure on that particular situation. And at the end of the day, you meet incredible people and you go to these incredible places, and you learn something new about yourself, about the world, and that's how I see it. For me, it's more of a curation of my own life, and these people are a reflection of all the things that I love. And
so I guess what's really the difference is, one is looking for a relationship, and then one is experiencing a moment and just enjoying your life and going through things. And Stephanie, what do you think about that? Because there are two very different aspects about long distance dating versus long distance relationships.
Yeah, I think I would totally have to agree. Much like Soudeh, actually, the relationships that I've been in that have involved people from different cities, I would hesitate to sort of use the standard sort of, or the defining term of relationship, you know what I mean? And kind of, you have to have a little bit of flexibility there and some openness. And so to see it more as an experience and maybe a relationship that's more sort of like a friendship, and in that sense, I think that's how I have to look at it, because I think putting sort of the maybe standard or typical rules and boundaries that you would on a romantic relationship with someone that you're obviously with and spending time with, it doesn't work in that sense. So you can't look at it that way.
So then I think one of the things that we have to clarify very early on, and I'd like you to all comment on this, is not only, you know, how we're going to do this, the plan, but what is the plan? Meaning, what is the plan for this relationship? Are we just going to enjoy each other? And you do your thing when you leave this town. There's no expectations, and it's probably even a commitment thing. You know, you're not entering into a committed relationship. You're entering a relationship for whatever it brings to you. Dan.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what you're looking for. There's certainly casual long-distance relationships that are a lot easier. I happen to be in one right now which is more serious, so then we do have expectations of each other, and it is like a normal relationship. We see each other maybe I think at least twice a month, and it's just Toronto as well, so it's not that far away. So we can almost act like a normal couple, almost. But there's the other option too of being more casual, and it's not the option that I have now, but it's been in the past, and it's that also works. You really have to talk about it and define it one way or the other, I think.
So Soudeh, do you think this is something that you're just kind of living life and there are no expectations of a relationship, and maybe you don't even know whether you're ready for a committed relationship yet, so this is just suiting you fine?
No, I definitely know that I'm ready for a relationship. It's just that it's really hard to keep the momentum going when you're not physically there with the person. That's been my experience. And unfortunately, I have a thing for creative men. So they just happen to be extremely independent. And so am I. So that's why the whole long distance thing works. And that's why when we come together, we can, bounce ideas and have fun with each other. I definitely do want to be in a relationship. But it's really, I just haven't found that person that I can find that click with, that I can say, make that commitment, say, okay, we'll see each other twice a month, or I will go, here and, across the world to see you at least, once or twice a month. But I mean, that hasn't happened for me yet, for me to say.
I'd love to know, when do you guys think it's time where you're in a relationship, serious or not, but in a long distance relationship, and you decide to have that conversation? Where are we going and what are we doing here? Are you going to move? Am I going to move? Are we cool with this for the next 5 years? Like, when do you have that? When is that moment? I guess it's different for every relationship, but when do you know when it's time to sit down and really have that conversation? Are we just having fun? And by the way, I think there's something about what she said that was so refreshing. And I love the honesty. Like,
Thanks.
You know what? I'm just living experiences. I'm not taking it too seriously. If I find someone whose company I enjoy keeping, I'm going to explore it. And so as a committed wife and mother, there's something about that that's very eat, pray, love that I think is really cool. And so I wanted to say that, I admire your openness and your adventurous side and, less being attached to outcome. I like that.
Thank you. And I feel like I represent a whole generation of girls who are just, single in their 30s, who are doing their thing, who are also experiencing that. I feel like I'm just like representing their point of view. I think it's more important to be happy than to have expectations. And so eventually a relationship could come out of it if you're just kind of chill about it.
The dude on the panel is the boring domesticated one.
Actually, poor Dan, because you've been in a few long distance relationships and they always left town afterwards. We used to talk about this on the show. So hopefully if this is the one, you get it right this time. And,
I hope so. I think I'm at 5 now. So 5 serious girlfriends that have left Montreal because they couldn't find jobs here for various reasons.
You didn't
Crazy.
learn your pattern, right? This is all about patterns.
Although I have
here.
to say, I'm sure if she's listening tonight on the other end, I'm sure she's like, yes, we're in a committed relationship. You're like, things are serious. So I'm sure she was probably happy. Or maybe not, but I'm sure she was when she's like, things are serious.
So Stephanie, do you agree? Because I happen to agree with what Soudeh was saying. Is it is also a little bit generational that women are, but I think guys too. It's not just the women, right? That everybody is just kind of living their life for the moment right now, and
totally.
with no expectations and letting things happen.
Yeah, and I think part of that also has to do with how we're meeting and where we're meeting people. I think if we're being honest, social media has a huge impact on where a lot of us are meeting new people these days, and you kind of can't control location.
Now, when you talk social media, you're talking about Facebook and
sure, it could be
Twitter
Facebook, it could be Instagram, it
probably
could
dating
be,
sites too.
Tinder. I mean, people who are coming in for a weekend for whatever, or for a few months in the summer, and then you meet them and everything's great, but then it's like, well, wait, this isn't my real life.
So would you go on, for instance, let's say a Match.com, and when you're searching, would you start entering a relationship or a conversation? When I say relationship, a conversation with somebody from another city?
I think on a dating site, if it's that kind of a thing, a Match.com or something, probably not. Only because I think I am looking for, if I have control over it, I'm definitely looking for something that's more stable and maybe more permanent. So not intentionally.
Well, you know what? This was so much fun. I wish we could go on and on and on and on, because long distance dating has so many components to it. But I want to thank each of you for coming in and having this discussion. And you know what? We're going to have to do more of this because it is a very, very heated, long
That's
distance.
what I learned. It's got a lot of layers.
It's got a lot of layers. Anyway, thank you very much, Soudeh, for joining us, Soudeh Soura, and as well Stephanie Arthur and Dan Delmar for joining us and sharing his escapades, long distance or not. Coming up, I answer your dating questions and tell you where to go on your next date. There's plenty of options here in Montreal, and you're going to hear some of my favorite. You're listening to Solo in the City on CJAD 800.